Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into a concept that really defines our entire modern world: information saturation.
This one idea right here is our perfect starting point. Just think about that for a second. It's saying the basic force that organizes our society has shifted from something stable, predictable, like gravity, to something totally chaotic and overwhelming, like a flood.
So, to get our heads around this, we've got a roadmap. First, we're going to define what this flood actually is. Then, we'll look at its immediate impact, what gets washed away in the process, and then where the new value is hiding. And finally, we'll figure out how on earth we can build an ark to survive it all.
So what is this information flood, really? Well, you can think of it as this massive, historic shift, a move from a world where knowledge was this guarded, hoarded secret to one where basically everything is just out there for everyone to see.
And this slide really nails the contrast. We used to live in a world of scarcity. Power came from knowing something other people didn't. Now, we're in a world of saturation. Power isn't about what you know, because everyone knows everything. It's about timing, acting on that information before its value completely collapses. Now, this didn't just happen overnight. For, centuries, knowledge was locked down by a select few. The printing press, that cracked the door open a bit. Radio and TV pushed it open even wider. And then, well, the internet and the smartphone in your pocket just blew the doors clean off the hinges.
But here's the thing. This flood isn't just about the sheer volume of information. Its real power and its real danger comes from something else: simultaneity. Everything happening at the exact same time.
Simultaneity is such a game changer. There's no buffer anymore. No time to think, no time to process. You see this every day, right? A rumor explodes on social media, and it's around the world before any official source can even type up a press release. The information just hits everywhere, all at once.
This subway bomber paradox is a pretty stark way to understand the danger. See, a single agent, on their own, can make a calculated, though horrible, decision to minimize harm. But what happens in our world when a dozen people see the same threat and all pull out their smartphones? Well, any chance of coordination just collapses, panic multiplies, and the chaos can make the outcome so much worse.
And that gets us to the core paradox here. Being able to see everything at once can actually make it impossible to see anything clearly. It's like trying to navigate in a blizzard. The flood doesn't illuminate things for us. It just completely overwhelms our senses.
And in this overwhelming flood, something else really precious gets washed away: expertise. That specialized knowledge that used to be a real source of authority. It's now at risk of becoming just another cheap commodity.
And this slide shows you exactly how that happens. It's almost like a factory assembly line. First, knowledge is ripped out of its original context. It's broken into tiny fragments. Then, algorithms replicate those fragments a million times over, and they get packaged up as content. And suddenly, its value isn't measured by whether it's right or useful, but by how many clicks and shares it gets.
So what's pushing this whole process forward? Well, it's these incredibly powerful forces. You've got platform algorithms that are designed to reward virality, not accuracy. And you have a financial system that wants to monetize every single scrap of information, no matter how disconnected or shallow it is.
I mean, this all sounds pretty bleak, right? If real expertise is drowning, is it hopeless? Are we just doomed to be lost in this sea of noise? Well, not necessarily. But it does mean we have to get a lot smarter about where we look for real value.
Because here's the big twist. Scarcity hasn't actually disappeared. It's just moved. It's hiding. In a world where information is abundant, the new scarcity is something else entirely.
See, the old scarcity was about having the secret files, right? The new scarcity, it's not about having information, it's about making sense of it. The real skill, the new gold, is the ability to filter, to frame, to synthesize, and to discern what actually matters.
And the most valuable scarcity of all? It's inside us. It's what you could call embodied knowledge. The kind of intuition and judgment that you just can't code into an algorithm or download from the internet. It's the triage nurse who spots danger in a single glance, the mechanic who hears a problem that no diagnostic scan can find. It's the wisdom of experience. And in a world drowning in data, that kind of human judgment is becoming more priceless than ever.
In a system spiraling into chaos, these people are a force for order. It's a fancy term, but you could call them negentropy incarnate.
They are living, breathing filters who can take all that noise and turn it back into a clear signal. They bring a little bit of stability to a very unstable world.
Okay, so if this embodied human knowledge is our most valuable asset, how do we protect it from the flood? How do we start building an ark to preserve this essential judgment?
The answer isn't to try and stop the flood. That's impossible. The answer is to learn how to navigate it. We have to become like those ancient engineers who learned to build canals and levees to tame mighty rivers. We have to learn to channel the flow of information, to harness its power, instead of just getting swept away.
This means we actually have to start designing systems that help us think better. Just look at the tools on this slide. We can create temporal valves, things like the peer review process in science that deliberately slow down the release of information to make sure it's accurate and doesn't cause a panic. Or we can build cognitive levees. Think of these as mental flood walls, things like provenance chains that help us verify where information came from, protecting us from a torrent of fake news. And maybe the most interesting one, we can create zones of bounded ignorance. The best example is a jury. We deliberately shield them from news coverage because sometimes, to make a clear, unbiased judgment, you actually have to be protected from knowing everything.
So what does this all boil down to? What can we actually do? We can design these spaces for agency. We can learn to filter and stage information. We can cultivate our own embodied judgment. And we can build real-world buffers that protect us from the worst of the flood. These are the tools we need, not just to survive, but to actually thrive in this new age. And that leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. In this world of endless information, our greatest challenge isn't acquiring more of it. It's learning to filter, to discern, and to protect what truly matters. Our future may depend not on what we know, but on what we choose very deliberately to ignore.